Good morning, world. Hello, YouTube. I'm Slinned, and this is my world. Or at least it was about 11 months ago when I first started. As you can see, this area looks a little bit familiar, but quite different. There's my mountain, no tower on it. The NPC village that we started at. Oh, I can just fly. I'm in creative mode. Yay me! Ha! Here's the original NPC village that we've added on quite a few houses to. We have the river, my very first project in the world, the bridge right there. Wow, so pretty. It's actually been changed. We'll get back to that later, though. Um, what I wanted to do was talk to you guys just a little bit about starting a new world, because this is probably one of the most common questions that I love to answer on stream. People ask me, how do you play in the same world for 1,500 hours? Which is what we're about to be at in about 5 hours of playtime. Well, the answer is simple. It's all about what you do in the world to start with. To be able to continue playing on the same world in Minecraft, you have to have something that connects you to that world. You have to have something that makes you want to stay playing that particular world. Most people tell me, hey, I died and I don't want to play the same world again. I started a new world. Every time I die, I start a new world. Or every time I run out of material or this or that, I just make a new world or I lose interest in whatever. Um, you have to build something that makes you say, okay, well, this is my world now. This is my home. This is where I live. So here's the advice that I give to people when they're starting out. One, start gathering materials. Do your usual thing. As you can see, this is my spawn point right here, right on the other side of the river from that town. So what I did was I gathered some cactuses and planted them, spread them out. Gathered some sugar cane and started spreading it around the shoreline. This is actually after I spread the sugar cane out. We've already harvested this and made our entire enchantment table and stuff right there. We even have our mine shaft started over here, which is where we began the video. With this is just a little cubby hole. We got our storage chest here with nice pickaxe. Good going, Slen. We got our storage chest here with everything I own in them right now. A little bed and a furnace. And your typical staircase down mine shaft, which actually leads into a cave system and then a ravine. So it came out really nice where that mine shaft was. But we do not have a dirt hut. We do not have a little box to live in. Most people will build a dirt hut or they'll build a wooden box. No. Bad. Bad people do not do that. That is the worst way you can start a world. If you start your world with a little box or a dirt hut to live in, then that is what you associate with your world. Now, you do need an area to start out with. I recommend a cubbyhole. This one is in the side of the mountain because I have a mountain here. If you were just in a plains biome, then it would be as simple as, digging a little bit of a staircase down. Bloop, blop, bloop, blop, bloopity bloop. And then you just dig this area out just a little bit so that you have a little bit of space here. And boom, cubbyhole. It does not scar your landscape. It does not make a lasting impression on the area, and it is not associated with your world. This is your world up here. That is your cubbyhole. You could throw some trapdoors on top of it or something. It's up to you. But do not make yourself a little box on the surface. Now, important to me when starting this world was this bridge right here. So while this bridge might not seem like much, I was spending a lot of time going across this river back and forth. As you can see, my mine shaft is over there. I was getting crops from the farm over here, most likely. Actually, maybe not. Who knows? There's a pig in the farm. I know I didn't harvest the crops right over here. And the reason for that is, if you look right there, there's an underwater flower. And if I harvest these crops, now this is a backup, so I'm going to try to see if that even does anything. Apparently, that doesn't affect that. I was under the impression that harvesting these crops would update that flower. Or update the water block here and cause that flower. Oh, well, trampling the soil does it. So that water updated In my world as it is right now, that flower is still there, and I plan on keeping that flower there for as long as possible. But this river was fairly important to me. I was going back and forth across the savanna and the plains biome here. So you can see I have all my stuff for animals, getting them bred up right there. I assume I was using those farms. I don't see another wheat farm around, which means that to breed these cows, we were feeding them with wheat from somewhere. So I assume I was using those farms. And in this field right here is where we were planting all of our trees for early wood and whatnot. So we had acacia and birch trees being planted here. Um, you can see there's a birch and oak forest right over there. And I believe I later went and chopped down that spruce tree right there so I could get spruce saplings as well. So that's where all of our initial wood sources came from. And they were planted across this entire field and used to gather materials. Now, this is what I consider my first build. The bridge is the first project I worked on. This is the first building, though. And my goal was to build something that I really liked, something that was incredibly detailed, something that I wanted to have at the center of my world. And I wanted it to be functional too, because it's important to not only have something that you like, but for your first project, it has to be functional. Because if it's not functional, then you're wasting your time. You're just starting out. You need your first build to be functional. And what this build is a barn. And it is incredibly functional because, as you can see, I already have horses. I already have animals. Um, there's donkeys in a hole on the other side of the river, too. And I needed a place to put them, I needed a place for storage, and I needed a place to sleep. And a barn covers all of those things. So we're going to fast forward from the framework of the barn right here, which is, as you can see, probably like a few streams in working on this. We got our cubby hole situated. I probably had diamond and iron tools at this point, and it was time to build an actual structure that was going to anchor us to the world. So I'm going to fast forward ahead a few days probably to actually we're going to fast forward ahead 11 months, so there's going to be huge progress made on this area, but we're going to be focusing on the barn. um, so yeah, I'll see you guys in about 2 minutes. All right, we're back. It's been about 2 seconds for you guys and about 2 months from my game world. If we go over here, you can see the village has been built up a bit and the barn is finished. So before, when I was building this barn, it was the only thing in the world, minus the bridge right there. It was the only thing in the world. Today, this barn is still a central location in my world. 2 months later, we have our animal farms here, our sheeps, our cows, our horses, and the barn is actually being used as a stable. You can see we have horses and animals in here already, and we still use this barn. There's the storage put in, some decoration, and up top here on each of these four window sections or whatever's, they're called gables, I believe, but they're also little loft spaces for our barn. We have storage. This is 2 months into my world and we're using this as storage. I can tell you right now that I'm 11 months into my world and we still use those upstairs chests as storage. I still keep a great number of a great number of things in my barn up here. You can see we extended some farms out on the side here. There's a cactus farm which has been redone. Our chicken coop is still just as it is in this version of the game right there. The barn doesn't look the way it does right now. I've actually gone back and redone the roof, and we'll see that in just a moment. But I wanted to show you guys the completed barn as is when I completed it. So this is the very last save I have of 2013. It was December 30th, I believe, of 2013 that this save is made on. And you can see we've been extending our village over here as well. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But this is the progress 2 months into my game that you can see. This barn, still a very central structure. So I'll rejoin you guys in just a moment for you, and 8 months for me with the most recent world save. So be right back. Welcome back. Again, just a moment for you and about 8 months from my game world. I I lied about using the most recent save. I actually used a save that I had just recently used. Okay, that dog is walking while sitting. That I had recently used to test 1.8 pre-release out on to see the effects it would have on my world and if it would be safe to update when the 1.8 game actually released for sure. And I'm now playing that same version on 1.7.5. And as you can see, going backwards in game saves doesn't work too well. But that's not important for right now. For right now, we are talking about the very first building I made in my world. Now you can see that there's been great changes to the area. There's a wall here blocking off the desert. The village has been extended just a little bit. We have our tower on top of the mountain, our house. There's a new village up on that mountain. There's a church over there and another village over that hill. We have a massive field of wheat now. A little beach area by the river here with the wall encompassing the entire area here. So much has changed in the area around the spot, but this barn is still here. There's a big difference with this barn though. We redid the roof, and the roof was something that bothered me for the longest time. For about 6 months we had the old roof, the birch roof on the birch structure, and I finally got around to changing it to dark oak. Best decision I made for this barn was changing that roof. So when we changed the roof, we did a little bit of different remodeling on the roof side of it, but not anything too visible. More item frames on the ground. Oops. As you can see, if we go up this cubby hole, we still have my bed here. I still sleep in this bed. This is my personal items chest. I believe all of the chests are going to be empty at this point because of that 1.8 to 1.7 conversion I just did. Oops. Good thing this is just a backup and will get deleted when I'm done making this video anyways. Yeah, but we still use the chests up there on those top parts. I believe we have our carrots and potatoes and pumpkins and melons on that side. Our leather on this side. We have our flowers down here. Up there is still a little reserve of wool. Most of my wool is now in the Rainbow Sheep Farm, but we still use this barn. We still use the stable stalls here. We still have animals in them, and we still use the storage space. This is a central location in my world, and it's the very first thing I built. And that is what is incredibly important when you're starting a new world. When you're starting a new world, if you're playing single player, you're most likely going to be building by spawn. Now, there's a couple things to talk about. My world spawn is right there. That set of torches, that is the very center of my world. It is not 0, but that is the world spawn. That can be changed as of 1.7, I believe, if you're interested in actually doing that using some cheats. It is able to be done in Minecraft, though you don't need a third-party program anymore. This world is probably, I believe, the fourth one of random seeds I generated. So I generated 3 random seeds prior to this one before I settled on this one. And this is not a perfect seed. The seed is random. It will not be given out. Please don't ask. But this is not a perfect seed. It's got a nice backdrop there, but it's got a desert right here. And I wasn't looking for a perfect seed. I was just looking for a seed that, hey, okay, this is going to be my world. And I wanted something that I could turn into my world. Now, a big thing with this is without the desert right here, I would never have built the wall right here to block out the desert. So the seed itself, while not being perfect, has made it possible for me to create my perfect world. And the barn at the center of my perfect world that I am creating is the anchor. It's no longer the anchor per se, but it is still a very iconic build in my world. I would say that the castle on the other side of this mountain here is more of an anchor than the barn is now. But to build that castle, to get started on that castle, I had to live in this area. And to keep me coming back, to keep me wanting to play, I had this barn that I put a great number of hours into. You can see there's a lot of detail that went into it. It's not a rectangle, it's not a box. It has a lot of detail that went into making it actually look good. So I highly encourage anyone interested in starting their own world, anyone interested in playing Minecraft for extended periods of time on the same world to build themselves an anchor building as their first build. Now you can see I don't use any stone, I don't use any difficult to get materials in this. I used wood and mostly only wood. I believe there is now some hardened clay as the floor in there. There's a mesa biome right over that hill, so that's not a big deal for me to get. But I encourage you to build it out very cheap, very easy to get materials, but put a lot of time and effort into making it look good. Make sure that you, after you have the structure down, you spend a couple hours putting the details in. I have hay bales all over. I have my torches on fence posts on the sides. I have little overhangs with more fence posts coming down from the side of the windows there as well. Or sorry, from the side of the roof there as well. Above the torches, there's a lot of different layers of depth here. Now, I'm not telling you to become a pro builder and build something fantastic. This is not something fantastic, but this is a decent build. It has layers, it has depth, it has detail. And you need to do something like that to anchor you to the world that you want to continue playing in, and from there you can expand outwards. So you'll keep your central location and you'll expand outwards. I've gone that way, that way, that way. Not so much into the desert. There is an ocean on the other side of the desert that I have the RAR Memorial map in, but there's not really anything built over there besides that, and we get there through the nether anyways, so it was just a nether travel location. But yeah, so those are my pro tips for starting a new world and continuing to play on that new world. Make a structure to anchor yourself to that world and build out from there. And eventually, as you get better at building, as you get better at gathering materials and, hoarding stuff and have more supplies to make bigger and better things, then you're going to make yourself bigger, better, iconic structures that will anchor you even further to the world, which is what I was doing on the other side of the mountain over here. So we have my tree cathedral, my nether pyramid, crunch, ow, and ultimately my castle, which would have never come to existence without that barn. I'm not really sure what else to talk about, so I think that's it for this video. Include a bit of an overview of my barn, and yeah, mostly talking about starting a world. So I hope that helps anyone that has questions about how I actually managed to convince myself, hey, it's a good idea to play Minecraft for 1,500 hours on the same world. If it did, awesome. Oopsie, sorry, flower. This world's getting deleted, I don't care. Die flower. In that case, but thank you so much for watching, guys. I do stream every day on Twitch. My Twitch name is Slinned. There should be links all over my YouTube page as well as below this video itself. So if you do wish to watch me play this world live, I stream on average 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. So come check me out on Twitch. Thanks again for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below the stream. And I will catch you later. Good night, world. Good night, YouTube.